So many people have access to this manual, yet they don't want to read it. Why is that? Why do they choose not to read it at all? What is our manual for life? I posted a video a little bit ago. The manual that we have in front of us, so many people have access to this manual, yet they don't want to read it. Why is that? Why do they choose not to read it at all? Do we know? Yes. God says that some people will just refuse to know the truth. And then he told us that the world will hate us because of him. Isn't that so true? You don't see any other religions being hated as much, do you? No. You don't. So here we are. We've got all the way to the curse at this point. Okay? Now, here's the even bigger part. Okay? Genesis chapter 4. The man was intimate with his wife Eve, and she conceived and gave birth to Cain. She said, I have made a male child with the Lord's help. She also gave birth to his brother Abel, and now Abel became a shepherd of flocks. But Cain worked the ground. In the course of time, Cain presented some of the land's produce as an offering to the Lord. And Abel also presented an offering, some of the firstborn of his flock and their fat portions. The Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but he did not have regard for Cain and his offering. Cain was furious, and he looked despondent. And then the Lord said to Cain, Why are you furious, and why do you look despondent? If you do what is right, won't you be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must rule over it. Cain said to his brother Abel, Let's go out to the field. And while they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and unalived him. And then the Lord said to Cain, Where is your brother Abel? I don't know, he replied. Am I my brother's keeper? And then he said, What have you done? Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So now you are cursed, alienated from the ground that opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood you have shed. If you work the ground, it will never again give you its yield. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth. But Cain answered the Lord, My punishment is too great to bear. Since you are banishing me today from the face of the earth, I must hide from your presence and become a restless wanderer on the earth. Whoever finds me will unalive me. And then the Lord replied to him, In that case, whoever kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over. And he placed a mark on Cain so that whoever found him would not unalive him. And then Cain went out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Isn't it interesting that he, instead of the quick way out, right? Cain was really hoping that he wouldn't live much longer because of the pain of banishing him from the face of the earth. So God protected and marked him so that no one would. Very interesting. Verse 17, Cain was intimate with his wife, and she conceived and gave birth to Enoch. Very important person of the Old Testament. And then Cain became the builder of a city, and he named the city Enoch after his son. Irad was born to Enoch. Irad fathered Mahuiel, and Mahuiel fathered Methushael, and Methuselah fathered Lamech. Lamech took 2 wives for himself, one named Ada and the other named Zillah. And Ada bore Jabal. He was the first of the nomadic herdsmen. His brother was named Jubal. He was the first of all who play the lyre and the flute. Zillah bore Tubal-Cain, who made all kinds of bronze and iron tools. Tubal-Cain's sister was Naamah. Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, "Hear my voice, wives of Lamech. Pay attention to my words, for I unalived a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me. If Cain is to be avenged 7 times over, then for Lamech it will be 77 times." Adam was intimate with his wife again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth. For she said, "God has given me another offspring in place of Abel, since Cain unalived him." And a son was born to Seth also, and he named him Enosh. At that time, people began to call on the name of the Lord. So there's a whole nother story behind Enoch. Enoch was a great man. So even though Cain was cursed, Enoch came from that lineage of Cain. So very important, right?